I will call together Town of Old Saybrook Zoning Commission regular meeting for Monday, April 6, 2026, 6 p.m. Town Hall first floor conference room, 302 Main Street, Old Saybrook. Stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Roll call, myself, Mark Caldarella, Chair, Derek Kennedy, Vice Chair, John Henry, Secretary, regular commission members Laura Gray and Robin Kelly, and our alternate members are Brenda Dyson, Michael Kelly, and Casey is coming, but she might be late. We have our CEO, Chris Costa, our recording clerk, Joanne Galley, sorry. We have how many online? Two. We have 2 online, and we have 1, 2,
9.
4, 9. Okay, regular business minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve. First set is from our regular meeting minutes of Monday, March 16th, 2026 at 6 p.m. at the Town Hall first floor conference room. Is there a motion to approve?
So
Laura, and seconded by John Henry. Any discussions, corrections, additions? I didn't see any. Excellent job, Joanne. Thank you. Move to a vote. All those in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, passes 5-0-0. On to our next set of special meeting minutes from our meeting on Monday, March 30th at 6 p.m. right here in Town Hall first floor conference room. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. By John Henry. Is there a seconded by Laura Gray? Any deletions, corrections, anything in the minutes? I did not find any. Not seeing any. Joanne, once again, thank you very much. Move on to the vote. All those in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, passes 5-0-0. Correspondence, do you have anything other than relating to our agenda this evening? Okay, so number 5 on deliberations. A, Whispering Winds application for site plan approval for affordable housing development CGS 830G to construct 12 dwelling units, 21,446 square feet total, and retain existing 2,453 square foot single family dwelling unit and 1,274 square foot appliance repair business. 846 Middlesex Turnpike, Assessors Map 63, Lot 5, Restricted Business B3 District. The applicant is Antonio Oliveira. The agent is attorney Ed Seller, and our action is deliberate and act by April 7th, 2026. So deliberations, since we've closed public hearing, it's just for us, our staff, and there's no comments or additions from the applicant nor from
Okay. Searching for site plan
Sorry
approval for
about that.
affordable housing development, CGS 830G on the App Store.
That's you.
No, my phone's off,
Sorry about that, folks.
but I had one coming over here.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
just phone ringing.
It's off.
yeah.
Yes.
So, we have received all the necessary information that we've gotten over the previous timeframes on Whispering Winds, and there are comments. Welcome, Casey, from commissioners that you'd like to talk about and discuss. Good. Good. Laura, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'm most worried about the this overall safety of the project and evacuation, and I know the fire department gave this proposal their blessing, but every time I drive by, I just cannot imagine the square footage of housing that's gonna go into such a small space. So I know that they've addressed the water concerns. But for me, I'm just really concerned about the, how dense this, housing unit will be in a small area.
Comments from other commissioners? On Laura's comments or on your own? Sure. No. It is dense. But it's allowable. So. Not that. And public health and safety is all that the commission can
Right.
address.
understand.
There are other concerns that you take into consideration during the process, but when it comes down to the end of it, those are the two that are something that's under this commission's control to either deny or approve or modify. That, you know, we've had lengthy conversations about everything, particularly in water. And I think, you know, for the most part, that's been addressed.
Right.
May not be exactly like what we see. Certainly public water would help if it was there. But this is what we have in front of us that we need to deliberate on and consider in both, so. No one else has any other questions? We do have motions.
So I did put together, based on some of the things that we discussed. We need to get another copy.
I don't mind. Take a few minutes and as you get them, read through them.
Is that what you
Huh? Yeah. Yeah, it probably needs not here. Yeah, right. I get it. Right. Krista, do you have any remaining comments or?
No, I think we measured everything into the record.
Yep.
It's up to you to ask.
Okay. So are we prepared to move? Oh, yes.
Question, yeah, and number 7, what's a full cutoff design? I know night sky compliant, but I don't know what full cutoff design is.
The full cutoff picture so it doesn't glare out.
Clear out.
Oh, okay.
Let's direct it downwards. Is there someone that wants to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'm gonna attempt to make a motion to to approve Whispering Winds application for site plan approval for affordable housing development. Connecticut General Statute 830G to construct a 12 dwelling unit, 21,446 square feet, and retain the existing 2,453 square foot single family dwelling unit and a 1,274 square foot appliance repair business at 846 Middlesex Turnpike. Sessions map 63, lot 5, restricted business D3 with the following conditions. The approval of the application for strictly zoning compliance by the zoning enforcement officer. As outlined on this. Do I have to read them all?
Yes.
So this is just, these are things you discussed as
Discussed.
talking points, so I think you need to address them and discuss them as a commission.
I was going to include them all.
Well, why don't you read them one by one, and after each
Okay.
one, we can discuss it as a commission if there's any other opinions.
Okay, so the plans will be amended to demonstrate that the fire protection tank will be installed in compliance with section 150 of the regulations for public improvements to the satisfaction of the town engineer, fire marshal, and fire chief.
Any concerns with that condition?
Well, I just remember at the last meeting, we talked about this, there was a discussion on. I think it was the specs, and that came, we got, everything was fine by the fire marshal and fire department.
That would be addressed following, that's why they're conditions, so. That would be addressed following your decision.
So this would be a
Condition
condition
of the approval.
of the approval
Okay.
that would have to be addressed afterwards,
Okay,
before
Understood.
certificate of zoning was issued.
And number 2, the HOA documents will be amended to require an annual inspection of the fire protection tank to document that it has water and is functioning properly. The HOA will notify the fire marshal in writing no later than December 31st of each calendar year that the inspection has been conducted.
Any comments?
what happens if we don't get notified?
It's an enforcement issue.
Enforcement letter would then go out.
The HOA, number 3, the HOA documents will be amended to require the HOA to notify the snow removal contractors of the designated snow storage areas.
Any concerns with that? Nope.
Number 4, when public water is extended to this area, HOA will consult with the fire marshal and fire chief to discuss the need for a fire hydrant for the development.
Any comments?
5, the affordability documents will be amended to clarify that no additional charges for parking or other amenities in addition to the maximum rent allowed for the affordable units.
Any questions?
Number 6, the I'm sorry.
Any questions? I think fairly obvious. No? Go ahead.
Number 6, the affordability plan and all legal documents will be reviewed and approved by the town attorney.
Acceptable. Okay.
Number 7, all lighting fixtures, including those on existing structures, will be full cutoff design and dark sky compliant.
You okay with those?
8, no accessory dwelling units, ADUs, are approved or will be approved in the future.
Okay.
Number 9, the applicant will provide contact information to both the town and neighboring property owners as to whom to contact in the event of parking, access to other issues that may arise during the construction and thereafter.
Okay.
Number 10, instead of pool fencing, the applicant will install a 6-foot-high solid stockade fence with no spacing to provide a buffer for residents from headlight glare, dust, and noise from the gravel pit operation located on the adjacent property.
Is that where there had been pool fencing?
I'm sorry.
Is that where there had been the pool fencing?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, I thought we sort of agreed to disagree that he didn't want to do it, and so I don't think we had any discussion about it other than like,
We had three discussions about it. It arose during the meeting that it was preferred to have solid stockade fencing. Applicant had refused.
okay,
Each time.
I was okay with the pool fencing because I didn't realize it was up to discussion. I thought it was sort of your opinion.
It can be a condition of approval.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I thought the applicant wasn't gonna move on that, so I guess I'm confused by that as well.
Well, the applicant, you're correct, did not want to move on it. When we looked at our conversations and we looked at the conditions, we felt that the solid out stockade fence was appropriate for the residents as well as the budding residents to control light glare as well as dust and some noise from the gravel pit from being out below. So it was a point of condition that we feel is necessary for the safety of this development. I mean,
Is there enough? Is there enough concern about this line item that we should take a vote on it?
we can.
You would take a
strike it.
vote, you just discuss if you wanna keep it or not.
Yeah.
These are all issues that came up or were discussed during the public hearing.
Well, I would just say, I like the idea of the pool fencing. I like that you could get some air and light through there. I like the idea that he liked the view. And having the solid stockade seems a little, like, I don't know if we're shutting ourselves out from other people or we're hiding from other people. It just seems a little closed in. And I like the idea of a little, the middle distance adds a nice touch to it.
Well, the rest of the property needed the stockade fencing, at least along the southern side, to protect the neighbors from.
Yeah, but I thought there was nothing where the pool fencing was. I thought they said there was no lights, that the road ran parallel so that there wouldn't be headlights and it was a nice view of a pond.
Correct. I don't. Correct, it's only for that
Yeah,
section.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It gave it a little bit of light and air by opening up one
So
side of
the
it.
site plan shows a big 6-foot stockade fence all around the property except for that section over on the east side. So and this is not written to differentiate those areas. So we still need the 6-foot stockade fence.
Well, it says instead of pool fencing, there's only one area where there's pool fencing.
Full fencing, I believe, would still be the 6-foot height.
Okay.
So if I may, you're opposed to that.
Yeah.
This, okay, Laura, sounds like you're opposed to that as well.
Opposed to that as well.
Okay. Derek?
I mean, I remember the conversation too. I think I would be more in favor of language that talks about, and I recognize it's a little wishy-washy in language, but something that asks for something as a condition, or at least states that there should always, the obvious things, like there should always be a fence, a minimum being the pool fencing, but if the association or the so choose that, it can be converted to a 6-foot high solid stockade fence without having to go through any motions. What is that gonna be like a housing association, or is it just gonna be condos or apartments,
Rentals,
rentals? Will it be an association?
I believe.
yes.
So is that something that they effectively can change in the future?
They could change
the
it in the
dust
future
or
if they so choose to.
So what you
Yes.
approved tonight would be what
the
they're held
start?
to.
Yeah, the start.
No, not the start, this would be the approval as to what they're held to. So if you say put a bike rack there, they would have to keep the bike rack and meet the site plan approval.
I'm good with the regulations just calling for a fence. I don't,
So you're okay with the pool fence?
I'm okay with the full fence there.
John?
Well, as I read this closer and understand it a little more than as I started, I'm against against this line item, yeah.
Okay, so, I feel it should be in there. It's 4-1, so we'll strike,
Strike this.
number 10 from the conditions.
Number 11, details of the retaining wall will be provided for review to the satisfaction of the town engineer.
Comments? Okay,
And number, okay.
Okay.
12, plans will be revised to address the town engineer's remaining comments.
questions?
Should be more specific to like, as of. Maybe the date of this meeting or something like that, so we know everybody's clear on the comments that were provided or asked.
Can add that. So it'll be as of April 6th, 2026.
Yeah,
So it's all in the record.
Mhm. Okay, so there was a motion that was amended by striking, number 10, that called for a second. Second by Robin Kelly. Any further questions?
I'm sorry,
Oh, sure.
who were the, John, who was the second?
Who's second?
Robin.
Robin. Yeah. Okay, then we move on to a vote. What I'd like to do is call the commissioner's name so that we clearly have it for the record. That's acceptable to everybody. So I'll start with Derek. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor would signal by saying aye. All those opposed would be nay or abstain. Derek? Need more time?
yeah, I just need another minute. to think
No
about
problem.
it.
Laura?
So am I making a comment or saying,
No, you're taking a vote.
I'm taking a vote, okay.
Right.
Um. Without comments, okay, I'll approve the application.
And so on approve. Robin approves. John?
I approve.
You approve. Derek?
Nay,
Yes. I vote, against the motion to approve for the following reasons. The existing property currently operates a commercial business with a single-family dwelling unit on the same lot. In addition to the current uses, the proposal is to construct 12 dwelling units and new parking areas to support the housing units. The applicant is unwilling to reduce the number of housing units, indicating that a reduction of units would not be economically viable. The applicant has not convinced me that there is enough water available in the fire tank or that it has been properly designed to save the building from destruction in the event of a fire. The applicant has documented that well water is available on site, but there is no guarantee on how long it will last and how it will impact neighboring wells. The town needs additional housing that will last for generations to come. The applicant has not convinced me that a development at this high density will be sustainable for years to come. I may have voted differently if fewer units were proposed in a different configuration that would have left room for future expansion to the drinking wells and made me feel more comfortable with the size of the proposed fire tank. So outcome is 3 yeses and 2 noes, so it passes. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. All right, moving on to the Hannaford Commons Residences application for site plan for affordable housing. CSG 830G amended affordability plan for 8 existing residential units. 9,313 square foot constructed at 99 Lynn Street. Map 36, lot 87, Residence A District, and construction of a new 7,080 square foot for 31 bedroom units, 9 affordable, 76 Elm Street, 96 and 98 Lynn Street, map 36, lots 97, 98, 98-1, shopping center, business B2 district, pedestrian node, Applicant is 76 Elm LLC, 98 Lynn Street and 96 Lynn Street LLC. The agent Marjorie Shansky Esquire. An action to deliberate and act no later than April 7th, 2026. So I remind everybody again, this public hearing has been closed. It's for deliberation amongst the commissioners. Commissioners, do you have questions regarding Hanford comment? Yes, sir.
No, there were no further town
Referrals?
like the engineer, the professional town engineer reviews or anything like that, right? It was everything was pretty much wrapped up at the last one.
So other than a few items, so I kind of did the same thing I did in
Yeah.
the previous application. It's pretty much.
Take a few minutes to read it through.
We got nothing.
Oh, you don't know?
Here, oh, I handed it to you, I'm sorry.
We're here.
There you go.
Never came to my.
Oh, sorry.
Everyone's here.
Totally messed up this. Does everyone have time to read through it? Questions, comments on any one of the points?
I had my notes about easements and I refreshed me what I was talking, I always remember.
So that would be the legal documents too. So the applicant's attorney has presented and our attorney was reviewing and going back and forth, so that's just getting sorted out and will be addressed.
Any other question? Or? No. Derek? No? Chris, anything?
Everyone's been entered into the record?
So I'm gonna make a motion to approve Hanford Commons Residences application for site plan for affordable housing. CSG 30G amended affordability plan for 8 existing residential units. 9,313 square foot constructed at 99 Lynn Street, map 36, lot 87, Residence A District, and construction of a new 7,080 square foot residential building for 31 bedroom units, 9 affordable, 76 Elm Street, 96 and 98 Lynn Street, map 36, lots 97, 98, and 98-1, shopping center, business B2 district, pedestrian node, with the following conditions to be satisfied prior to the issuance of a certificate of zoning compliance. 1, applicant will provide revised architectural plans that can be scaled with an architectural scale. 2, the affordability documents will be amended to clarify that there are no additional charges for parking or other amenities in addition to the maximum rent allowed for the affordable units. 3, the affordable plan, easements, and legal documents will be reviewed and approved by the town attorney. 4, all lighting fixtures will be full cutoff design, no uplighting is approved, and the applicant will provide details for any new fixtures demonstrating that they meet dark sky standards. 5, plans will be revised to address the town engineer's remaining comments, and we'll add in here the same as we did on the last one of April 6, 2026. And 6, an encroachment permit from the town of Old Saybrook will be secured prior to commencement of any work in the town right of way. There's a second. Seconded by Robin. Any questions, discussion? Yes, Derek.
Question about the number 4. We had been shown that there was uplighting on the other buildings. And I'm just wondering if the since it's all the same builder, I'm in favor of not uplighting, but did we say no uplighting in that meeting, or did we just say, isn't there no uplighting? And then we got shown a picture that there was uplighting on the wall mounted mid-level lighting, just like there is on the other side of the street. I just want to be clear.
So there was nothing specific for 99 saying no uplighting.
Okay.
So that wasn't specified. I know it came up during this application. That's why I put it in there.
Okay.
Easier for you to review and amend.
Okay. So where it's currently built, that wasn't a specification, and we're saying this would be a specification. Is that what you just said?
Yes.
Just clarify. Okay.
Is the uplighting illegal? Is that against, the night sky regulations?
So right now, and in talking with Attorney Shansky, who asked me for clarification about dark skies. The dark skies lighting, which we've always used, is a standard, and it's the specification of the actual fixture. It's not stated blanket for all lighting, so we need to amend the regulations if you're going to continue that practice, which we've never had a challenge with. So, I mean, it doesn't say that they can't have it. That's been somewhat something you've done standard. And as for 99, I went through the whole file and pulled every section on lighting, and there was no mention of it at the previous approval.
Well, then I would just say, if it's not illegal, it does seem like it would be nice for the two developments to match. And you have the history of the uplighting on the other one. Has there been any complaints about the uplighting?
We've had
I mean,
complaints about lighting on the site, but not specifically the uplighting. Other than I think the commission in the past has not encouraged uplighting on the building, and this was an address for 99.
I think it's been
I just think it would look better if they matched, but,
So-
and I just think it's, there's no other residential really in that area. And it doesn't seem like it would really be able to bother people.
So for clarity, you
I would-
would wish to strike
Uplighting, yeah. I
Yes.
mean,
the entire piece, or
well, they have
just
to meet the
the,
dark sky, but I'll take the first sentence. They don't have to be a full cutoff design, but it's no uplighting. Oh, I would take out the no uplighting as approved.
you're saying you would want to remove the uplighting
Yeah,
from
Yeah.
number 4?
yeah.
Everything else would remain the same?
Yeah.
Okay, so question, how can we remove uplighting and meet dark sky standards? Oh,
Dark skies.
I just answered my own question with my own thought process. Thank you.
What is the answer?
Share it with us.
What is the answer?
The answer is that the regulation right now is not clearly specified that we require dark sky, and that's been our practice for many years for building light. It says it for athletic fields, it says it for sign lighting, and this just came up with this application, even though we've been doing it for 15 years, that it's not specifically specified in the regulations, even though it's been your practice.
Further, the zone regulations.
Yeah, can't speak.
We're having a contradictory statement in the condition of approval. We're allowing uplighting while still trying to meet dark sky standards.
So it doesn't
No.
specifically specify in the regulation that building lighting has to be dark sky compliant, even though that's been a customary practice of this commission to ask for dark sky compliant fixtures. So with the issue with 99, there was nothing specified as to the uplighting of the building. In this case, it came up with dark skies as far as, the practice. And that was what was brought up. And as I said, Attorney Shansky did ask me to take a look at the regulations and the practice that you've been practicing for 15 years. We need to put it in the regulations because it's not specifically specified. This is the first time it's come up.
This
Like
is-
to comment.
Okay.
I said, I see you guys, since I've been on this commission, we've always 15 years, I'm not been on 15 years, but you've always stipulated that. We didn't do it across the street because we didn't catch it. I'm saying that's been our practice. We should, in my opinion, I think we should continue with that, get it in the regulations correctly.
Yeah, but for this
This,
deliberation,
well, yeah, I'm just,
uplighting is what's being questioned.
I understand, and I think we should,
Not allowed or
I think
allowed?
we should allow this condition because it's consistent with what we've done in the past.
So you say allow,
I
You
say
want-
take out, allow the uplighting.
allow the
Yeah.
uplighting, right?
No,
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 you're
We
saying.
say allow the clause to stay as it is,
Oh,
I wanna leave
and that
this,
was a mistake.
right, I was only commenting in general that we've been specifying that right along for 15 years. Just because we missed it. I wouldn't want to change. So I'm in favor of leaving this in.
and you're aware, it's not.
I mean, just because we missed something in the past doesn't mean we should continue with misses. We should correct our misses. So I'm in favor of leaving it.
I am as well. So any other questions? Okay, so we can, move on to a vote. We'll do it the same way we did the last one. I'll call on each of the individual, either for or against. Derek?
For
Laura?
Four,
Alan?
four.
Four. Don? Four. I'm four, so it passes 5-0-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to continued public hearings, 91 Sheffield, application for planned development district designation at 91 Sheffield Street, map 49, lot 2, marine industrial I district, Connecticut River Gateway Zone, coastal area management zone. Applicant owner 91 Sheffield Street LLC, agent Marjorie Shansky, and the action is to close public hearing no later than April 20th, 2026. Attorney Shansky, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Good evening, members of the commission. I am Attorney Marjorie Shansky. I represent 91 Sheffield LLC. And I think we gave you a reasonably thorough description of the proposal the last time we were here. And since we've been here, we are excited to share that the Connecticut River Gateway Commission unanimously voted both the map amendment and the special permit / coastal as it related to the over 3,500 square feet. That's what the special exception permit is about. And commended our engineer for his thoughtful design that put everything outside of the Gateway Conservation Buffer, the tidal buffer, and the 100-foot Gateway riparian buffer, so that all of that wonderful conservation natural features are protected. And I was so proud of him. And I have to say, in the many, many years that I've been practicing, I don't remember a specific commendation in a motion to approve, and I thought it was just delightful. But we're also happy to share that this finding of consistency of the design of the development footprint met with their approval, including the designs of the houses, and we had I think the photographs are in your record, drone photos and pictures from the water showing how well buffered the actual construction will be. And then we also, I guess today, received a letter from the DEEP, and they are also finding that we satisfy the water. I mean, it's sort of a historically written and thorough letter, but that we comply with the Coastal Management Act. It's 22A-6-93 that talks about water dependency on waterfront sites. And we've included this public access component that we showed you at the last meeting. And I think we talked about it, but we'd like to show you this evening that through our workings with the Planning Commission, from whom you've also received a positive referral and a finding of consistency with sections of the Plan of Conservation and Development, and the Harbor Management Commission, which found elements of it to be consistent with the Harbor Management Plan. We've made the public access component more robust. There's now a second sort of walkway and little, we're going to show you all of it. I'm just describing it narratively. So that we have two means of accessing the waterfront, two seating areas for the public, and under the Plan of Conservation and Development and described in the letters, connectivity with other parts of Old Saybrook through this additional pathway. So I'm here this evening with Mr. Picard, who is the principal of the LLC, with Mike Gott, who's our professional engineer from Summerhill Engineering and Land Surveying from Madison, and with Abigail Adams from A2 Land Design, our landscape architect. So we'd like to show you all of that, and obviously want your questions, and then, of course, comments from the public. But Mr. Ott, perhaps, or Abigail.
I think Abigail could show it.
Okay, let's let Abigail show it. Abigail is remote.
Where did she go? She was just here.
A2.
Yeah, she was
Came
just
up there.
here.
It's on,
Yeah,
so
she came off for some reason.
I could try it, I can explain it, maybe she'll come back. I saw her, she was on
Yeah,
there.
she was on
her.
Maybe she got kicked off.
I can explain it, and maybe she'll pop back on. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
sure. I'm gonna look for my little map anyway.
So, if you have your plans, you'll have to open your plan, sorry, because she was gonna show them on the screen. But I've got kind of memorized, so I can describe it if I want. So, if you recall, you come in the driveway,
In the big direction.
drive into the driveway on the right-hand side by the cul-de-sac. We had showed initially a public access walkway that headed to the northern, to the limit of the floodway. You may remember this right before, maybe I'll wait for you. Yeah, plans like that.
Nope, she's back.
He's back.
Oh, is she back? Yeah. But
So sorry, I am here. I apologize.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
You want me to
Could
share
you
my
show-
plans?
Please.
Yeah,
Yes.
could you show the sheet that shows the extended public walkway, Abigail?
Yes, we get there.
Yeah, that should work.
Okay, I can zoom in a little bit. Were you speaking of this area, Mike? I apologize.
That works. For
Okay,
now, so, so if the commission looks, you can kind of see the end of the cul-de-sac at the bottom of the sheet, the arc, the part of the circle. So initially, we had showed a walkway to the east, to the right of that cul-de-sac, heading northeasterly up to the tidal wetland limit. And you may recall this, if I'm remembering this right, a couple of days before the last time we were here, there were some discussions between the applicant and the town about creating an additional public access walkway on the left side or the west side of the cul-de-sac that runs right along the common boundary line between our parcel and the Riverside Cemetery. And it goes all the way to the west to the common boundary with the senior housing project. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
You can, okay. So that's what Attorney Shansky mentioned. There's also a little bit of a spur that Abigail's probably pointing to that comes off that intersection that heads northerly to the edge of the tidal wetland also.
With the seating area.
So that whole section to the west of the cul-de-sac or left of the cul-de-sac will be located within an easement in favor of the town of Old Saybrook. And the town would construct that portion at some time in the future when they chose to. But the applicant will grant an easement that will encompass the main walkway that runs left and right across the sheet and the little spur that heads northeasterly to the tidal wetland. The walkway on the right side, or the east side of the cul-de-sac, the applicant will construct as part of the site improvements. That, if you recall, I'm pretty sure that happened like 2 days or the day before we were here last. Yeah. So that's a revision that Abigail's showing you. That's a revision to the plan set. That additional walkway on the west side of the homes.
And that was what was discussed with the planning commission, the harbor management commission, the Gateway, Connecticut River Gateway Commission. And I think you showed it to the gentleman from Deep when they walked the site together.
The only other change to the plans is we added an in-ground pool for the house that we have one. Abigail can show you, but one is
None
the
of it.
unit closest to Sheffield Street. It's much further to the south. That's really the only, yeah, there it is. That's the only other change to the plan set.
There's a little spur that you added on. Does it affect any trees or is it just in?
They'll work it out before the easement gets created. They'll work it out in the field, the exact path of it to try to avoid tree removal and make it fit. And then the easement would get created around that.
That's what we wanted to show you.
Okay. Any questions? Commissioner?
About that or about anything.
Well, okay, do you wanna follow between both of them? Both, I mean, in general, I opened it up, I continued the PDD. Questions are gonna come up about the special exception. Do you wanna sort of waive and throw it all together? Go ahead, Rob.
Okay, yeah, I had some questions about the public access on the water side. And I'm sure it's not intentional, but it almost seems a little performative that I would think it's a little daunting to come up to a locked gate and then you have to walk around it and walk up a private driveway to access it. And then in the deep letter, they said the original application had parking on site and had kayak use. And I just think that people feel a lot more comfortable accessing the public use and they could park on the site. And their concern was withdrawn because they didn't like the residential use and they wanted to make sure the commission was okay with the public access. I'm not getting any feeling that anybody's really objecting to the residential use. And I think adding back the parking and kayaking would add to your argument. There is some limited water use. Is it possible? My question is it possible to add that back in?
I appreciate the comment. I would first say the gate is not locked and there is a direct pedestrian access next to the gate so that there's
But how do you,
no
it's not
obstruction.
locked, but when a car pulls up, what do they have to do?
Well, there's no parking for the public, so
But the original plan had parking.
understood, but we're, well,
But
so
the plan,
we have
if I may,
this.
the plan that you presented at the last meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, eliminated that. And that public parking was,
Yeah, no
Would be a-
public parking, no.
Outside.
would be offsite.
Yeah.
Okay, and I believe in the deep comments here, they reference that.
Understood,
As well.
and that's sort of a deep background response, which I'm happy to share with you, but I also would note that from a signage perspective, we'll try to avoid the situation that a commissioner described at the last meeting by public access pedestrian, by sort of ensuring that the nature of the access is defined to avoid misunderstanding in that respect. The conflation of the prior application in Deep's letter dates back to when there was this dock, there were the two docks actually, or there was the kayak launching. And Deep actually forced our withdrawal of that application because of the pendency of the zone change. They didn't want to be working on a permit that was contingent.
Well, the letter says it was withdrawn because they didn't like the residential use and they hadn't heard from the zoning.
That's not exact. I mean, I could give you other correspondence pertaining directly to the doc that examines that it was the fact that the residential development relies on the map change, that they didn't want to be working at cross purposes for something that might not come to fruition. So they're close but not identical. And the prior plan was also contingent or tied up with there having been proposed 5 houses, which was a proposal that was denied at the Wetlands Commission. And when we had to reduce the amount of development, it served as the catalyst for other changes that had to be made because we moved from 5 to 4 because the Wetlands Commission denied that application that was predicated on 5 homes. You understand, because we've spent, I think, a significant amount of time talking about it, how limited the development envelope is on this parcel. And so going from 5 to 4 may not sound material, but it changed the layout of everything because there's only this much room to work in. And that's why the 1 or 2 parking places disappeared and the nature of the public access changed. So what you have now is the reconciliation of the diverse number of regulatory agencies that we were required to satisfy. And that's the plan that you have before you.
So you said the gate isn't locked. Is there a gate?
It's gate, but not locked.
Okay, I still think going around a gate that's closed and walking somebody's private driveway is a little trespassing. And my question was, is it possible to put back some spots and the kayaks?
Oh,
I can answer that perhaps. The DEP relative to the kayaks, in the discussion prior to the withdrawal, the DEP had a problem with the kayak docks because they didn't feel that they could position a dock properly and there wasn't enough depth in the area in the code that we were presenting. They also highlighted to us that the town very close by has a public kayak access and they didn't understand the reason for the duplication of those efforts. Those were the preliminary aspects. So we elected to remove that. We thought it might be beneficial at first. Additionally, what Attorney Shansky said on a separate note is that initially our plans that we tried to also correspond with your planning department, your department, you, Shellfish Department, Harbor Commission, many others, right, who all have, as I mentioned, you guys before, have a difference of plans. It was suggested to us early on that there was an inland wetland on this property that was not functioning and it should be relocated to another area of the property, which allowed us much more density that would have allowed us to have, when we first proposed this, to have the kayak area and the ramp and rooms. When you take out that area and what have you, significantly reduce it. So there's no room for there to be parking, to be access to that area. And plus, at the end of the day, the DEP was not fond of having that. And in light of the town's dock just down the road, they felt it was redundant in nature. In terms of the gates, one of the situations that had come up in the planning process with some of the neighbors that are also that are near us that have small private roads is that while it is robust for people to have the ability for pedestrian access and viewing access, thus the reason that we work with the town actually to donate quite a bit of land versus easement to try to connect the town to the estuary. The site does not allow, unfortunately, for public parking, and more importantly, for trespass with cars. And unfortunately, some other areas around that have that. So one of the things that we worked on, because this is a pedestrian access, it's not designed, unfortunately, to be a full park for the town, which, you know, would be great, but we don't have that. It's a 10-acre site. Over half of the site is reduced by tidal wetlands and then gateway strict restrictions. So it leaves the envelope really relatively small. So providing public parking on the site was really not something that could work in us to be able to attain the private residences. We not only provided just similar to what they use at your dock down the street. My understanding is that public kayak dock is people actually drop off there and park at the school parking lot. Sometimes people are parking, and I guess the overall desire of this is to be able to use the estuary and walk down. But the intent is not to provide a full access, if you would, park. The waters in those areas, unfortunately, are limited. So even if the actual, which we don't have a permit yet, even if the dock were to be approved by DEEP, eventually it will be limited in nature because of the limited depth of those areas. So the functionality is just not there.
It seems to me if you could get a dock in there, the kayak's gonna be even shallower, and I'm sure you're correct in everything you're saying, but all I have in front of me is a deep letter that seems very pro kayak access and parking, and it's hard to imagine you can't find 3 or 4 parking.
I'm just telling you, right,
10 acres.
I can tell you, so we can bring Mr. Nielsen back.
I mean, you found room for another swimming pool.
I would, Abigail, can you put the plan back up that shows the wetlands? I guess it's the same view that you might have shown for the public access paths. So you see the wetlands over there, which is the circle, and the well, can you point to the wetlands, please? On the right. So that wetlands, which is a low functioning wetland, we had, the town had a wetland expert, we had a wetland expert. Both of them agreed that it was a low functioning wetland. We were going to fill that wetland. And because I want you to appreciate the scale of land that was lost by them turning that down. And we were going to relocate that wetland almost twice as big, I think, or maybe more than twice as big elsewhere on the property. And that would have afforded not only the ability for the 5th unit, but parking spaces and more generous, perhaps, perspective on the public access. But once they made us, and they turned that down, the wetland agency turned that down. And so not only are we protecting the wetland, but we are required to and provided a robust planting plan to buffer that wetland, a nice riparian buffer for that wetland. So, one would hope that it would become a more productive wetland because it's being treated like a king. But that is look at the size of that wetland and its landscaping compared to the largest house. It's consuming a lot of land. That is why we lost the ability. And then you still see that the limitations of what can be done there have not altered, just our ability to use it was reduced.
And the gates are free exit, free opening, so they're more of a decorative nature, they're not really limiting. So if you pull up to the gates, they open, and you go through, they close, and there's an entrance and an exit to those gates. But the desire unfortunately is not to have it salted, so you have across town, is to have, many people kind of coming in with cars in areas that really weren't designed to come into, driving on people's lawns and et cetera. So that's why, the gates are not going to be something that is prohibited, but it's more of a decorative nature. And, the walkway is robust, not just from being able to park where they park now to go to your town docks in the parking lot across the street, but also from the estuary themselves, which is supposed to allow people from the elderly housing from the town and all through it cross paths. And then there's sidewalks all the way they go down. Also, they go down in front of the school all along Sheffield Street, and you can park in the town hall or other areas of that. But the site is very limited in terms of, as she said, when we took that away from the old plan, you had to shift everything down and it became limiting.
Yeah, I just find it very hard to believe you can't find room for a few parking spaces. I find it a little forbidding to walk up to a lock gate and walk on people's property, and I'm not so sure, like, why are you concerned people will be driving on lawns?
Because unfortunately, it happens in other environments in town that have these roads. They do. Right next door is Salt, is one part of the neighborhood commissions where, and I can have them come to the next meeting if you'd like, but one of their issues constantly is they have, unauthorized drive-through traffic that makes it difficult.
Yeah, but you're offering public space to people. I just think they should be able to access it.
I mean, there's a huge walkway that's inviting, there's public signs, and as I said, it's from both ways. I know it would be ideal to sort of say, to make it a full park, but it's
For a full park.
it's a balance of, unfortunately, of private residential usage with public pedestrian access. So that's really the key to it. So, and similar to, I mean, I guess you would say at the end of the street, it's very similar. You guys actually have a town access dock there and a kayaks ramp, all for the public, is my understanding.
But I like the kayak because it's limited use access, or limited water use, but I am especially interested in the access, and it just doesn't seem that welcoming to outsiders.
Questions? You have a question, Casey?
No.
Eric?
Hey, a couple questions, I'll just do them in order. First of all, I want to thank the Harbor Management Commission. I thought that their letter back was really involved in it. Clearly, they took a ton of time to look at it, and I thought their letter that was in the file, I thought that was really good. So I just want to thank the Harbor Management Commission on their opinion and correspondence. Question on, I have a couple basic questions, but it's just to get the conversation going. This first question is going to sound stupid, but it's just for clarification. What does public mean when we say public access? Anyone, everyone?
Yes.
Okay. And then so when we look at the initial public access walkway,
Correct.
not any of the other ones. So that first house, well, I know it's not the first house on the street, but the house on the right there. do we have to worry about, so I look at it from both ways. I look at it from the public access side and I look at it from the homeowner side. Do we have to worry about safety of the homeowner if we have this public access walkway sort of going behind their house? I'm assuming, well, I'm not gonna make any assumptions. I'll just ask the question first. Do we have to worry about safety at all of the homeowner?
Okay, sure. So you have,
Would you say your name for the record, please?
oh yeah, I didn't do that, I'm sorry. Just for the record, I'm a licensed professional engineer land surveyor with Summerhill Civil Engineers Land Surveyors in Madison. You have, and I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, I think we were here, the town, and this is true in a lot of towns too. You have on Whisper Cove Road, you have a public access walkway that runs right between, pretty close to houses on both sides. It goes from Whisper Cove Road down to the tidal wetlands, and you're quite literally, you're really close to the homes. You're walking, if you stopped and you look, there's their backyard and their swimming pools, and it's very close. You have another one at, is it Heartlands Drive, Chris? I'm going way back, remember? The castle, where the castle is, I don't even know if it's still there. You have another one where there's a little parking area, but the path, the public access path, literally is within,
It's gone.
from here
It's not there,
to,
it's removed.
oh, it's gone? Oh.
Or it
it's
was
the-
cut down to like a seating area.
Oh, okay. Well, there used to
I
be a
moved there.
public access path, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could stop at the, I remember you could literally, if this was the fence, you could stop at the fence and there's people right there sitting outside there.
Because the
Very
people
cool.
complained about it.
Oh, did they? So I guess my point was, I didn't know it was gone. My point is that, this happens all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, and it's something that a property owner has to work out, for themselves. I mean, it's a requirement of the Coastal Management Act. The property owners will have to work it out for themselves. It's as far as you can see, it's kind of as far away as you can get, because of that jog in the property boundary right
Yeah.
there. So, I guess in really simple terms, it kind of is what it is.
Yep.
Really.
Okay, and then, so as it stands, no proposed, even if it's very subtle, only down lighting on that pathway. That is meant to be just black.
There's no lighting proposed. These things, and I think, I do recall we said this, the public access walkways, unless Chris tells me something different, usually are dawn to dusk.
Mhm.
And the signage usually says that.
Okay, that was the next
They're
question.
not meant
Signage.
to like
Yep.
place to hang out at night.
So fencing would be also up to the homeowner, whoever buys that, if they wanna put fencing in, at least along.
They could, sure.
Yep, okay.
And also make a comment about lighting, since it's been a topic du jour. That in the Gateway Conservation Zone, there are more stringent lighting
Sure.
requirements than elsewhere in your regulations, and that may be something that when you're looking at amending your regulations, you may wanna consider.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm just trying to think of worst case scenarios for the whole purpose of the thought process, right? And then also, I guess it's not just this homeowner. It would be the homeowner on Saltus, who's that pathway backs right up to the western line too, or the eastern
East.
line.
Yeah,
So,
there's and Abigail can explain this better than me, but I think there's quite a barrier, a proposed
Vegetative barrier.
vegetative barrier along that common line.
is it only vegetative,
Geez.
or are there any hard barriers?
There's a fence there now.
There is a fence.
Most of the way,
Okay,
by two neighbors.
okay. Cool. What about is there any issues in general, whether it's regulations, whether it's what the town requires, or whatever, with public access proximity to the eagle's nest that's right there?
No. I mean, I'm hoping people aren't mean-spirited when
Oh,
they're
you have
walking
a lot
down
of
the
hope.
path, but no.
Okay, I was just wondering, because you can't because there is a rule on cutting trees, right? Yeah, all right. And was it the DEEP or somebody else who had said that? I know we have the whole arbor management plan. In that plan, I think they said they're trying to keep as many of the good trees as possible, right? So that was also.
I don't think that's the harbor management.
Not harbor, arbor,
Yes.
arbor.
Yeah, you mean all the arborists, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right, and then, the DEEP response, I just want something clarified. Maybe I missed it, and I think you clarified it, but I just want my own clarification. That's okay. It says on page 1, 2, 3. On 3, the last paragraph on page 3, it says both public and private docks, but now there's just the public dock.
There's nothing right now. There's no application pending.
Okay.
There will be an effort to have a dock for the residents of the home,
So it'd be private.
private.
Okay, so as of right now, there's only in theory one dock
In Prospect, one
in
dock,
Prospect, yeah, and that would be private.
correct.
That does not connect to that walkway
It's adjacent.
because
Well,
of-
I mean, it does sort
Right
of,
up to it.
but the public access goes left and the dock goes direct,
so the public access walkway leads to the private dock.
correct.
What's gonna keep the prospective dock from staying private?
Signage.
Just the sign?
Yeah.
Okay.
There would likely be, there would likely also be a combination lock
On a gate.
for it. I should probably specify for the record that, this has been going on for 5 years, sort of the planning in this, so it's had several elevated. The people that were with the DEP that our consultants, DACA work with, and Keith Nielsen did come here last time, we could have him come again if you guys had further questions about it, but, almost.
Yes.
Let him talk about it, but I think, so he can speak to it, but I think there's new regime in the DEEP now as well, is where I was gonna say.
Okay,
So he could probably tell
Yeah.
you, where their, heads are at, but, yeah, the letter, I think the letter indicated that, that public access, viewing access, which we did extend here, and we do have chairs and what have you, that we were intending on using, for the public access, but the dock, we were thinking of having a gate. And the pathways would not be illuminated. I think the only lights that we are showing on the plan at all are, lights that would be on the houses.
Which you have a copy.
And those lights actually are dark sky compliance, because
Right.
as Attorney Shansky said, in this particular area, your restrictions, while not dark sky, are much more regulatory, where in other areas of town, they speak of, full cutoff and things like that, but the zoning reg actually does allow in other areas of town under special exception for you to have uplights in certain areas as well.
thank you. Appreciate that. I'm assuming then that the signage would say about the prospective dock that there's no public access to the dock. It is viewing access only to the water or something. I'm not gonna get into what the sign needs to say, but I'm just so it's clear from the cul-de-sac that there's no public water access, right? So that people don't come all the way down and then,
Right.
alright. And then, is it too early, Chris, to ask a question about lighting on the dock?
People said no lighting.
Yeah,
There's no lighting.
so that's what I just wanted to clarify.
They've
So
defined
this
that
is-
pretty clarified.
Yeah,
This is where the full force and credit of the Gateway Commission comes to the forefront.
sure.
There's no extraneous lighting in this proposal.
Okay, thanks.
Which is good for all of the biota,
Yeah.
all of the, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, thank you. With regards to the zone change. I know we have, there's some, where are we? Very here, okay. So I know we have M1,
Am I?
MI thank you. On the, makes more sense, MI, yeah. Just more north of that. And then the rest of the M1, MI is, really off of that like Ferry Road area and all that. How much of that MI is private? Whether it's a marina or other,
Ferry Road.
well, all the other MIs.
I mean, the majority of it's private,
Right.
but as developments come in, there will be coastal access, and some of the uses already have coastal access.
To the public,
Yes.
that's what you mean.
So like you get the state dock, you've got, the town dock out there, and as new developments come in, you'll do the same thing as you're doing now, looking out for, taking into consideration proposed coastal access points for people to view or access the look.
Do you think or feel that any more reduction of MI zones in the town will reduce or further restrict public access to the water in any way?
Well, there's developments that are in residential zones that also have coastal access, like what Mike Ott was talking about with Whispering Winds. So part of, the review, whether it's marine, industrial, residence A, B, if it's like, I'll give you an example where Agway and Dunkin' Donuts are. There's a coastal access point to the rear of Dunkin' that you can go out and walk out and sit on the bench. So it's up to the boards and commissions to review and evaluate the coastal access on an application by application basis.
So do you think that this zone change, if approved, would reduce public access in town to the waterways?
It's kind of a hard question. I mean, it's anything that's privately owned is restricted, and you have through the Coastal Management Act, public access component.
Mhm.
So someone could buy this property and put boat storage there, which would be restricted, but the commission most likely would ask for some coastal access that's consistent with the plan. So unless it's
Yeah.
publicly owned, I mean, it's obviously anything that's private is gonna have a restriction. It's how the coastal access is designed for the public. So it could be completely different marine industrial use and still have coastal access.
But no, it's a good point. So follow-up question on that. If, let's say somebody else came in, so regardless of this plan, let's say a different developer came in, would they have the right to deny public access because if it was a private company or something that came in under the regulations of MI, could they deny?
Well, you're still in the coastal area management zone, so anything in the coastal area management zone, whether it's commercially zoned, marine, industrial, you're gonna do your coastal site plan review, just like I said with the Dunkin' Donuts where Agway was, there's coastal access there, so.
May I play?
Yeah.
So the question that you asked, Chris, is not hard to answer. It's impossible to answer. Because it relies on total speculation as to whether or not something would eliminate public access.
Yeah.
If it's impossible to answer, but if there were a boat storage place, that's not a water dependent use.
Right.
So just for the record, it's not a water dependent use. So that doesn't get you to better water dependency than public access. But might there be better public access going between boats that are up on things and covered and, I don't know that makes it a desirable alternative or proxy for the amenity that's being offered here. With respect to other things, and then I think you may want to hear from Keith Nielsen, because he has summarized the sort of history of this specific parcel and the limitations associated with it from a water dependency perspective that was certainly helpful
No, that was,
for
that
us
was very helpful,
in
yeah.
understanding it. But I will also say that I have represented interests in industrial development on the waterfront where we have been excused from public access because of the nature
Of the
of
use.
the industrial use, where you don't want to expose people to being there. So that's why we could sit and,
Yeah, so my
Imagine.
questioning isn't to,
It
say I'm
depends on
in,
the use.
yeah, I'm just trying,
Proposal, it's up to
Yeah.
the property.
just for clarification of why I'm asking questions.
yeah, no, I
It is
think it's great.
because I'm just trying to get an understanding of pros and cons of, the map change and what happens. And if it stays in this, we are potentially approving public access, which is great. There could be someone else that comes in and it's a private company who wants to do something like you're saying, or something more restrictive that we could still provide public access, but it would be harder for the public to actually access.
Right.
And so it's just me asking questions to,
Well, right now, it's fair to say there is no public access there.
There is no public access and there has been no public
Right.
access
And you're proposing public access.
and we're proposing
Yeah,
public
there's an
access.
increase.
Pardon me?
There's an increase.
From zero
Zero
to now pathways that are on the table, yes.
The other thing to look at is anytime you make a zone change from one zone to another, all right? You lose that opportunity, all right? So
that's my point, that's my part
so
of my
let's just say
question.
it, once MI is gone,
Mhm.
it's hard to get it back.
But
That's not saying that it's right, wrong,
Exactly.
or indifferent. It's just part of the thought process. I think what we've read, and I've read both in supplements that have come from different agencies and from their experts, as well as our own up to this point, is that it has a very limited availability of marine industrial
Right.
use. Primarily, if it was all deep water, it'd be a
Right.
home run, it'd be an easy thing to do, right? It probably would have been developed by now. You just gotta take all that into the thought process of doing that, but there's an increase in public access here. It may not be everything that the commission may want, but it's something that's meaningful.
Yeah, no, I fully understand that. I'm just trying to get clarification. And then, because I appreciated what DEP wrote in their letter about the immediate past use of this parcel, and then what could effectively actually occur on this parcel is limited, or should I say limiting its water use. So I recognize some of the benefits of the application. So I think that's all the questions I have right now.
Would you like to hear from Mr. Nielsen?
Not right now. I mean, what you said at the last meeting was very helpful, so I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you for your questions.
Maybe I'm a little bit slow at this, or slow at understanding, but if the public walkway leads directly to the dock, why couldn't it be a public dock?
Because there won't be anything more there for the public to use.
Well, what are the private people going to do there? What are the private residents going to do there?
They might own a boat.
So I reiterate, why couldn't it be a public dock?
I mean, I as a lawyer can think of a liability question associated with it.
But if the representation was previously made that that was possible, I mean, to
No,
me,
that was always going to be a private dock. The kayak launch was a separate outlet.
the deep letter says that both public and private docks are part of the proposed residential development.
Yes,
And an application that was previously submitted to DEP.
right, and
Blah, 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 blah.
And that's written by a successor to the people with whom we worked, or with whom Mr. Nielsen worked when he was pursuing that dock. they're not the same. There was the.
And I
public
understand they were
and
the
the
same,
private.
I understand, that's clear to me in the letter, but at some point there was a representation made that there would be both public and private.
And that was when we had a 5-unit development and filling of a wetland and more room to work
Right,
in.
but what the Wetlands Commission didn't allow you to do because they felt they were doing their job in protecting the wetlands doesn't negate.
Well, yes, the leg bone is connected to the ankle bone. It had a
Well,
ripple effect on.
Yes and no, but you could come in and try to cram in, 30 houses and make that argument. I
Well,
mean, it's
That's part of the
a balancing.
reason it still remains marine industrial, because the town was concerned to not get a big affordable housing development there, and they didn't want to make it residential. And so this is a low-density residential development that has a high degree of reconciliation of conservation associated with it and a public access component.
Yes, it has a
That's a
public
lot.
access component, but I tend to agree with some of the other sentiments that I think it's not, I mean, the letter says, we recommend the commission consider these additional possible components of public access at the site when determining if potential adverse impacts are acceptable, and ensure that the access to the site from Sheffield Street is inviting to the public and clear that it leads to the coastal access trail. And I don't want it to be, we've, some other public access components have come up tonight, and I'm aware of others that aren't inviting to the public and that you don't really know are there and that you can't really use, and that's what this feels like.
Well, you as a commission can't condition our approval, pardon the anticipation in that realm, on getting docks for the public and the private, because you're not in control of what DEEP does. We're not in control of what DEEP does. You cannot condition your approval on the action of another agency over which you have no control.
But we can require it, we can condition it on what we feel is appropriate provision
Not
of
if it
public
requires
access.
a permit.
That's not true, because whatever we approve then subsequently gets reviewed by DEEP and they make their subsequent decision.
But it's reviewed under their criteria, not yours.
Right. They're waiting to hear what we require.
Mr. Ness.
Well, I think that the case really has been stated very clearly by Ms. Shansky. The DEP does not have regulations that govern docks. They have tidal wetlands regulations, and the rest of it, they review in a process that is to a large extent arbitrary, and it meets their current interpretation of their own law. And we have to go along with what they determine for size, location, capacity, water depth, dredging, environmental impacts on plants in the harbor and so on. And it's a pretty exhaustive process. So the plan that you've got before you right now is the plan that is really consensus of a lot of input from a lot of agencies, and they have approved the process going forward based on the plan that you're looking at tonight. And so nothing else in the DEP process is guaranteed. It's not even specified how big or how small or what color or how it would be built. And so
Mr. Nielsen, I may add, in the conversations that my understanding is in the conversations that you had with the DEP about even the feasibility of the construction of the stock, which at this point in time hasn't even been addressed, but has to go to the Army Corps of Engineers. The concern was the size of the stock as something usable anyways, limited water access, and the amount of boats that could come in and out of this were limited at best if the DEP were to approve this. And you will also met with some resistance in terms of positioning even the dock that we were going to have for potentially have flying kayaks, that they weren't fond of it due to the positioning and the water. It's just unfortunately in this area, it becomes very low and marsh-like. So while we've shown it on the plan to be part of the overall processing, we don't even know if we're able to get this dock in the end of the day. And the size of it really wouldn't suit anything for public use as well.
Right.
Very limited, what I understood.
Right, this is a shared dock, and one of the DEP guidelines is to utilize shared docks for where they are possible, where they're feasible. And this one has been designed from the start as a shared dock. It's minimal in size. I mean, it's hard to judge from what you see on application drawings and so on, but this is not a large dock. And
We actually have some renderings later to show you.
Oh, Casey.
No, I'm good, thank you.
Mike.
How many square feet are we talking with the, kayak launch?
you mean in the original design?
Yeah, we're.
Well, it would be somewhere around 8 feet wide and 30 feet long, something like that. That's about the size of what we have found in the creek. And the 8-foot width is necessary because of sideways stability, where one or two people and a kayak are on the edge if they're familiar with the boat in the water and so on. And the other is to not obstruct passage of the creek. And if you have seen the previous drawing, and so the dock system was actually angled away from the center of the creek so that kayak access from one side of it would go toward the center of the creek. The other side was really only usable at higher tide.
And I thought last week a dock was definitely part of this application. I thought it was represented, there's gonna be a dock.
So on the plans you have in the record, and I think I labeled it as planned, actually. That set is open, you might be able to read it. There's definitely a dock shown. It's in the northeast corner, and I think it's labeled as planned.
Then you'd have to get additional.
We have to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's labeled that way. Yeah.
Attorney Shansky, do you want to move on to the application for special exception permit? Did you have more to present on that?
I don't really have anything more to present on that. Is it 2 of the houses and more than 3,500 square feet?
I think 3 of the houses.
3 of the houses? Yeah. That's the extent of the special permit, and it has been approved by Gateway because it's not obvious from the waterfront. A lot of landscaping in front of them. There's dots in the water, so they, as you see, gave it an endorsement.
Can you explain what reference this is that we have in our packet? Did that come from you?
Like,
Did you guys have anything with that?
Yeah.
I just don't know where that applies.
Okay, so we're gonna actually have Adam show you, but this is part of the part of your gateway. As you guys know, one of the commissions here that besides the Harbor Commission and others, Gateway Commission has a substantial part of this area. And they wanted us to do a before and after render. And so we hired a photographer, and they went in and they droned the area from the drones. And they did it sort of in a before and after format. Unfortunately, some of the before is not included here, which I don't know, but why. But the purpose was to kind of to show you guys, and we certainly can make sure you see the befores and afters, but it was to give some orientation of the positioning of the houses and then the trees and the foliage, which we did go through last time. A large part of this plan is going to be to mitigate, to be involved with, not just next door to mitigate the Phragmites, also to eliminate all the invasive species, and then the replanting plans. So it was trying to give some orientation of what the houses would look like. They're actually the houses that we planned for the area, and we did some renderings. Some of them, this one, which was almost the most visible from the gateway, likes to be able to have a view, to see the view requirements from the Connecticut River and its tributaries. So in particular, these were really done for them, but we thought it might, we had to include it for the record. This house, which was the fourth house, which would probably be the only one that would kind of be visible from the tributaries, certainly not from the river, but from the tributaries. So they wanted to see something with what it might look like in a rendering after it was built. And then this was just something that to show you the way it is from. So it hopefully gave you a different perspective of that.
Thank you. And this is some of the proposed.
That is the full cutoff lighting. That is the only exterior illumination on the homes. Complete downlighting.
And this is what you covered with it.
Those are the
ARB,
colors
everything.
of it, which are gateway approved. Yeah.
Chris, where are we with referrals?
So, we heard from the building official. The fire marshal, today made some comments, that I sent in an email. I did provide that to the applicant, just some concerns about the gate and getting fire apparatus in. We have not heard from the fire chief. I have been sending out multiple emails, asking for responses. The, Jeff Jacobson was in my gut, going back and forth where we should have something from Jeff hopefully in the next week or so. Matt Willis, who's our attorney, will review any legal documents and easements. Once those are finalized, he tends to kind of like wait till the end when things aren't moved and changed to do that, and he'll work with Attorney Shansky. We've talked about the harbor management and planning commission referrals. You have a health approval. And it's
That's it?
Gateway. Deep,
Right, we have gateway.
deep, we have a wetlands permit.
We haven't received anything from Mr. Jacobson. And that's still lacking. That we need.
Correct.
As well. And it would be nice to hear something from the fire chief, as well. Fire marshal did respond, and Mr. Picard did respond back in terms of the width and such, so. Anybody else have any other questions? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Just as we were talking, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but just knowing that the public access is mandatory and not elective, it just seems like the closed gate. I mean, maybe there's an element of aesthetics to it, but I think there's also a little element of intimidation. And I just think it's important to have some parking in there, and also for handicapped people. I mean, you could put a person in a wheelchair, wheel them across the driveway, wheel them across the road, wheel them around the gate, wheel them up the driveway, but I just don't see how adding 4 parking spaces would be such a huge problem.
The pathways are wooden chips, so, I mean, both the ones from the town and here, so.
Oh, I see your point.
And then they go up and they go down to grandmother's house, and the total access of these, first of all, I think it's 700 feet, to get across, part of these stuff. So it's truly a pedestrian view. I mean, so, we're not sort of going into this open vista. So one of the things I think this shows you is that this water is sort of very limited in its nature. And fortunately for us, this was taken during extreme high tides, but, this is all marsh, all right? So the only way that you're getting if we get out, we'll go back to the dock, okay? If a dock were to be approved on this site, the only place it could ever get in is at the very far side of the dock. It's like, and it has to go 83, if it was approved, it has to go 80 feet, I believe, Mr. Nielsen, in a fixed pier to get out to there. You get out to a ramp, and the ramp has to be very limited. The DEP wants. They're not looking for commercialized situations here. So that would be the only place you could get it, and maybe have depths of water that are above 1 foot. So
I think a foot's good for a kayak.
it may be for kayak, but unfortunately, it's the rest of the development is really not designed for that, because you have a wetland that takes up almost everything that we could squeeze in on the right-hand side of the property. So to answer the question that he said before, we brought the walkway where there was the most at the end of a paved area. So obviously when people want to come down, walk, or on a wheelchair, and they get to the very end, they can take a right and go through a wooded path. I don't know how much, this is really not designed to, for people in wheelchairs, unfortunately, but it's to walk in me to the end and take a left, and people could sit and view. There is quite a bit of, fortunately over there, there's quite a bit of there's beautiful foliage, but there's also an aquatic, birds and habitat that would be visible for there. But it's really not, unfortunately, overall, it's really not designed for something where people can put it into the water, have presence, have parking that would allow them to unload, load, stack the kayaks, and be able to get them and not disturb the mix of the residents in this situation. Because that's really what this is. It's a balance, right? Similarly, like you guys asked before, if this property, which is an MI piece, right now it has no public access. And conceivably, if we went back for a permit, we could ask to rekindle the buildings, at least 3 of them, and try to use them in some other area, some other way, and we wouldn't be getting any kind of public access. So even if we had an application, I don't know that you're getting any kind of robust usage of water. That's what I wanted to point out to you guys. And that pathway, I don't know the exact length, but I'm thinking it's somewhat from the roadway to the dock is some 300 and some odd feet. And then you have the roadway, which is quite long itself. And then, so it's really not, I don't know that it's going to be usable for those purposes. And then even because we've lost that whole right-hand side, we can't move that way to widen in that area, a roadway, and still get the homes in that area. I guess conceivably, and we could look at, and I don't want to answer that. I don't know that we can get parking down there. It seemed to be able to get back in and it wasn't really safe and practical for those majors, but it's clearly for pedestrian access. It's not really designed to be, a public park. It's really a mixed use process. So
Well, it's just deep asked us to ensure that it is inviting to the public. And I just think having some parking on site would make it more inviting to the public, or make it inviting to the public.
I can't, I can't answer for deep, I do. That's their standard, right? And I think Chris said to you before, maybe why don't we go, that's their standard line. So when Smithtown went in and Dunkin' Donuts went in, they asked for that as well. And there's a pathway there, and I'm not so certain how much. Here it's beautiful, right? You have nature. I don't know how much is usable there. When we developed the place that is next to Pasta Vita, Deep also wanted us to have public access there as well. There's sometimes so that's their standard line, and this gentleman who's there is new, very, very new and young, and he's giving you the company line. But there's a bit of practicality about the
You just said it's more beautiful. I would think you'd have more reason to.
Without a doubt, I think from a walking standpoint and meandering and hiking standpoint, this is something. And I certainly could see part of the reason that we also decided to give the town the full easement and try to connect to the downtown area with the whole node. We thought that was really important, so it wouldn't just be symbolic, it would be meaningful. And, you know, there's obviously some, you know, costs and things for us to do that. We also agreed to have, you know, another access way that might be a little shorter than the other area that would overlook the marsh as well. So, you know, I just think, I will tell you that I was the advocate initially to these guys about talking about the kayak situation. And I thought it sounded cool. And then as things went on, you know, it was presented to me by my professionals and other people that it sounds cool in theory, but from a practical standpoint, it probably wouldn't work with the balance situation over here. Trying to provide a spot or two, I can get together with the engineers and see what we can do to that. But I will tell you that, you know, and probably I will try to encourage some other people that have reached out to us. So there's a variety of neighbors in Saltus that aren't really completely in favor of this application. And because they don't want, they're concerned about people, you know, kids doing what they're doing now, is going there and smoking pot after hours and desecrating their private properties and things of this nature. So there's a concern with, you know, taking the public and giving them free rein to private properties. So we were trying to balance those situations. I can tell you that several people reached out to my wife and I were angry with us that we were considering doing this, but you know, we felt that we had to because of the you know, it was a component of the Coastal Management Act, and we really think I think it's an overall benefit, but I don't think that just having, you know, people drive in, and you asked about this, and I'll let them comment, the neighbors saying that people go down Saltus around all the time, pull in their driveway, drive over their sprinkler systems, do this and that, and they have an issue with it. So, you know, the design of this in this particular area is, you know, every site has different applications. If this was a big site and you could have a public dock, and maybe you could. If you could have a beach, you could have a beach. But it is limited in its water depth and where it is in the cove. And the public access for viewing and for walking is what we're trying to do, and we're trying to make it inviting. I mean, when you see the landscape plan, which we haven't really got to, I think it's quite inviting. And we're talking about walls and a nice walkway. But no, we're not asking the cars to drive down to the people's houses and park in front of there illegally or disturb their living either. So the only place that we had parking before is, if you remember, very at the end of it, right now where we have the entranceways in the wall. So we'd have to look at that. But we were not providing parking at the other end. In the past, when we didn't have the wetland, those two houses were very separated, and we had talked about having a walkway and an area to stand to put the kayaks and maybe get into that area. But again, it's very limited as to depth, apparently navigational, to try to get the kayak out of that hoop, if you would. And the reality of it is to have it now at that roundabout and walk 300 feet up and down to the end dock also is not a practicality. I mean, are you a kayaker?
No.
Oh, but you know, I would imagine that, you know, to kayak, you want it probably to be somewhat ease and access, right? I don't know that you want to walk hundreds of feet to get to the water.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, so, but I'm just trying to say, I mean, you know, like we all, why can't we have this? Well, the water's from the road is 300 and some odd feet down. So that person, if they can get in, they take it off their car, have to go up and down to grandmother's house 300 feet to maybe get to a dock that we don't know if we're getting or not, right? Again, it's sort of proposed in theory. And then what do they do, right? I don't think it just doesn't lend itself for that kind of usage in this area here. You know, it was before it was an industrial land. It's gone very largely undeveloped. It's blight ridden at this point in time, and we're trying to make it something that offers some very nice residential homes, limited in nature, and all access to the general public. And viewing, and unfortunately, it's not water participatory. And similar to the reason why, regrettably, even to the Harbor Commission and others that really wanted to keep this property in some levels as marine industrial, they recognized in the end of the day, it's never been used for water dependent use. The feasibility of it ever being used for that is probably slim to none.
Actually, it was.
Never water dependent.
Back in the 1950s, there was a boat builder there, but they used to dredge 14 feet to access. It was Harpoon Boat Builders. I have a little article on it right here and a wonderful story about Katharine Hepburn getting stuck in the mud trying to access this facility to get her boat fixed. So they went from chest deep mud, and then all of a sudden the bottom bottomed out 10 feet because that's where Jim Jones, I think it was Jim Jones.
In this specific site.
Jim Jones, yeah, it was called the Jones Brothers Boat Builders in Saybrook, 1950s and 60s. So there was water dependent use there, but it was always a challenge. The best place to, and I'm a kayaker and I do my stand-up paddle. The best places to launch in North Cove are at the ramp on North Cove Road and also over at the town dock. But this is not a good place to get in. And I've tried to explore all those little creeks up Ragged Rock Creek and all these. It's not a place to go. You send people out in a kayak, they're not looking at, well, some people would look at the tides, but they're not gonna be able to get back in without walking through the mud. But it's not really a good place to launch a boat.
We did the title search on this. I didn't see that you're showing me. Because we did have the Grumman people and the Salem people.
They made
And-
bars for the Coast Guards. This was before Larry Saab's dad moved in.
So Laura, can you just provide that for the record, because you're referencing a document that we can't
find.
We can't see. So anything, yeah, you.
I have an ad.
For the record.
I have an ad. What should I send you?
Send me what you're referencing so I can send it to the applicant and the other members, because everyone needs to have the same materials,
Okay.
which is fine. I mean, to do that, just as long as we can give them to everyone in advance.
Okay.
Since this, excuse me, is a public hearing, there's people here potentially who may want to speak, for or against. I don't believe we have anybody online, also it's everybody in the audience. If you wish to speak, please identify yourself and, stand up. Liz?
For the record, my name is Elizabeth Graffin, and I am president of the board of directors of Saybrook Village Senior Housing on Sheffield Street. And for your record, it's spelled SAYE and then capital BROOKE, the way the original lords spelled their name.
Your title is?
President of the board of directors. I wish to speak to the public access. Mention was made that you could go across the back and then use the path that goes to the estuary. I walked there last week with my administrator for the senior housing complex. I was wearing boots and jeans. None of my residents could walk through there. It's not kept by the estuary, by the town, and it's not our responsibility. It's totally unusable by our residents. They are either aged up to age 96, or they are disabled. And in some cases, they are both. We have residents using walkers. We have residents using wheelchairs. We have a guest who comes to the complex on occasion with me who uses 2 canes just to stand up and walk 20 paces. They could never walk from our property to the estuary property and across the path. It would be totally impossible. This complex is not owned by the town. It is owned by the board of directors. So there is no way you could build a path from Sheffield Street to the back of our property without the board's permission. And the board is opposed to it by a vote of 11-0. And the residents have made it very clear to me that they are opposed to it because they feel their safety would be compromised. They don't want people walking through. And we don't have enough parking. You can't use town hall as a parking lot. Tonight, you could all get parking. The Kate Theater is closed. When the Kate is open, you can't get parking in the Kate's parking lot. You can't get parking in the middle school during the day between September and June because the school teachers and the staff use that parking. We will not permit you to park in our parking lot. It is open to residents, employees, residents' families, and guests. And there's nothing to stop. If you give it public access, people can just walk, driving in and parking there. And we do not have the staff, nor can we afford the staff to have the parking lot managed from dawn till dusk. So we are totally opposed to this walkway. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Yes, I would, please. Claudia Way, WAY, 55 Sheffield Street, number B18. I'm in senior housing there. You know, when we look out our front doors and our front windows, we see parking lots. That's it, all parking. But when we look out our back windows, we see landscape. We have of course, the cemetery also abuts us. To put in a path with wood chips of all things from the estuary going across our property, these people along that lot line are not going to have their privacy anymore. And that's all we have is our backyards. We're 80 and 90-year-old people. Number one, if you're going to have access like that, you're eliminating people with wheelchairs. That's not fair. If you're going to have access to something, you have to have access for everybody. But the privacy thing for us, that's it. That's what we've got. So to put a path in there would be disturbing a lot of privacy for people that are living there. It's just, you know, it's just ridiculous. Not only is it ridiculous, but wood chips, come on, who's gonna walk along on wood chips? That's it, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Attorney Shansky, do you wish to comment? Oops, yes, ma'am.
I'm Marcia Devenir.
Can you spell your
And
last name?
I live right at where the
Mark, you have to spell your last name.
Devenir.
Spell it.
Divenere.
Go ahead.
And I live right at the corner of that whole lot there, where the path is going to stop for the first increment and then go on if the estuary plans to continue it to Main Street. The element that could come there from Main Street is frightening to us, number one. We've had people that come at all hours of the night. I have a friend who has a police scanner. There are people on the loose all the time. There's more that goes on, and they have come on that property. I followed one myself from New York. So, and he tried to get out when he knew that I was following him. He tried to get out by the estuary where there's no entrance or exit. There's an entrance, but there's not an exit for a car. He had to go out on Sheffield Street again. It's not so much for me, the privacy, it's the frightening part of drawing people from Main Street, the undesirables. And I'm living there alone. I'm 90 years old, I will be next month. And I share these feelings with many other residents who live there as well. They're afraid. And I don't think that's wrong. I think that's a very normal thing, especially in this world today. So to bring an element in, there may be lots of people that'll go in there. But since I've been at that location, which is almost 3 years, there have been no one has gone, and I'm at the estuary a lot because I eat there very often. And they built a cupola, they built a place for sightseeing, the view. There has been no one goes down there and looks around and says, oh, this is a beautiful spot. Being a kayaker myself might maybe draw people to that. If there was going to be a dock, may draw people to the water, but they've got to drive down to the water. They can't lift those things. Those things are heavy. And then pull their car back and pull. So, including us in the plan is not a good thing for a lot of those reasons. Plus, it's the sanctuary for our animals. We have beautiful animals that live there. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
You know, I'd like to say something. The reason for this path is for what? For people to see the water? Not, and at low tide, it's mud, by the way. We've got the end of Sheffield Street. We've got the Point. We've got the Causeway, Knollwood, the beach, off Coulter Street. How much more do people need to see the water in this town? Really? Not to mention the little, the paths, the trails and stuff that are provided for this town. To put that in across our property and interfere with us old people when there's so much more in this town that people can go see, it's just not fair.
Thank you. Attorney Shansky, would you like to comment?
I'm quite sure I explained this at the last meeting that we were here, but I think there's probably some people in the audience that maybe weren't at the last meeting. And this needs to be said and get on record. So as silly as this sounds, as the commission knows, this application is for the 91 Sheffield Street parcel only. This applicant is not proposing any activity outside of the limits of the 91 Sheffield Street parcel. As we explained earlier, and again, the people who just spoke probably weren't here last time and maybe didn't understand, and hopefully I can clear this up. All the applicant is proposing as part of this application is to provide an easement on their land, on 91 Sheffield Street land, in favor of the town of Old Saybrook for the construction of a future walking path on the 91 Sheffield Street parcel by the town, should they choose to at some point in the future. The idea of connecting that walking path from the limits of the 91 Sheffield Street parcel to across anyone else's land would be proposed by the town. the town would have to hold public information meetings and explain it to all the residents and all the property owners, and that would be the forum where these nice people would come and explain what they just explained. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
So hopefully that clears that up. That if that ever happens, it would happen in the future. The town would be the proponent of it, and all municipalities will hold public information meetings to get the information out to the public.
Any idea emerged from a meeting with this first selectman?
Yes, I may, if I may, Michael Ricardo again. I wanted to say, and some of this is redundant, but I think I've said it a number of times, planning out this project has been an almost impossible challenge because there's so many people in the town and so many different regulatory environments that come at it from all different ways. The Harbor Commission has one, Gateway has another, the public has another, DEP has another, right? And try to satisfy the criterias and the desires and the agendas of everyone is really tough. What these folks have mentioned was not necessarily, we are advocating this. We agreed. We were approached by the first selectman that certain members of the town, in an expansion of the walking node in particular, thought there may be some future value to getting the estuary, which is for people in the town, and connects to the sidewalks, that to connect, to have things connecting. And we thought that was in keeping with the Coastal Area Management Act, in keeping with trying to be beneficial to the town, and trying to make this project more robust. It wasn't a condition of ours, but it was something, like Mike said, that we were trying to do to work with the town. Similarly to these folks, as I said to you, my wife and I have been approached, maybe even there's certain people in the town. Most of the residents of Saltus have approached us in one way or another and have not necessarily were extremely opposed to the point when this first was contemplated of making this commercial, of anything commercial, for a variety of reasons. But part of it was privacy, the roadway, access, things to that nature, which is thus why we, after exploring all these options, we went to this limited density PDD application. While they understand that the public would like to have public access, they're very opposed to it for their privacy and noise and all of these things. And so I just wanted to reiterate these things to you, it's not just, this is a balancing act. This is not simply the developer trying to give something and not give something else. It's really to try to produce this in harmony, where you're taking a very, a large site, 10 acres, and you're basically giving away a lot of it to, without use. Obviously, some of it can't, but through a regulatory environment, it can't be used, which eliminated the true industrial part of it. We're trying to keep the residential, we're keeping all of the current structures, again, out of the tidal wetlands, out of the gateway setbacks, out of special flood hazard areas, improving it with landscape, hopefully inviting and maintaining, what we do have that's robust there is the bird areas, a lot of birds, and hopefully we can maintain that and allow some private people and the public to enjoy the property collectively. We're not trying to upset anyone, and we're not trying to take something from someone or give it to someone else. We're really trying to make this practical as well. There's a lot of people that were opposed to trying to provide, the comment that was said to us is to take a size 13 foot and put it into a 9 shoe. This area is not designed to have 25 cars come in just, and have a party or a picnic. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Sorry about that.
Okay. So I just wanted to go on record for that as well. Okay,
Thank you. So we're at the point here where there's still some additional information that we need in order to make a reasonable and factual decision. We're up against a time clock of the 19th, I believe it is. So we have Yeah, the 19th.
Yep.
So we have two options. We could close public hearing. Or if you were willing to offer an extension for our next regularly scheduled meeting, which is not until the 20th.
Absolutely extend, grant an extension for your next regularly scheduled meeting.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So,
Just send us something for
Yeah.
the record.
I will send you a note tomorrow. I have time to do that.
thank you. So, motion to continue, right?
But before you do, Mr. Chairman, I just, if I may.
Sure.
I remind you that, there are three structures and the dregs of a structure. There are four structures, sitting in the Gateway Conservation Buffer, riparian buffer, at least two or three of them are. And that they are magnets for, undesirable activity. And that stewardship is the antidote to that kind of, activity, and putting eyes on the street by having some development at this parcel and having it de-invasive species and caring for the tidal wetlands through that exercise, also the wetlands through that exercise, and the getting control of the inhibiting landscaping that makes it virtually impossible to pass through the site in its current iteration. Those are other factors, and even deep in its letter, that has certainly focused your attention on public access, talks about the vegetation and the health of the tidal wetlands and the value to the tidal wetlands of stewardship, especially in a climate changing, sea level rising world, so that the proper mechanics of marsh migration and whatever can occur unimpeded. So there are lots of benefits associated with the proposed development. There's a history in the record, notwithstanding what we've learned tonight, which is fascinating, that the immediate prior owner had this marketed, it lay fallow for 15 or 20 years. Certainly they were trying to sell it for 10, I think. And so that in itself, from a market perspective, is telling you what its usefulness is and what its utility is. And so I encourage, we will reflect. We've heard a lot this evening. We will reflect, and I urge you to reflect, and we'll meet again.
Thank you. We will. I'll speak on behalf of the commission. They can interject if they so wish to, but I think the commission wants to take everything into consideration, not just a specific document, but everything to make the proper legislative decision of what we've been voted in office to do on behalf of the council. So we take our job very seriously. We spend a lot of time on it. We're not experts across the board, but we learn quickly, and we will consider everything as part of the process of
I appreciate that.
deciding.
Thank you, I appreciate that. It just flashed one more time, this segment of the zoning map. Yes, I know up here someplace is the Ferry Road Marine Industrial Zone, but all of this residential zone sits around this parcel. It is really ensconced in a residential ethos, and we're simply trying to make consistency of that use model.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing for 91 Sheffield application for plan to. What date? We haven't made it.
He's making the
I'm making it
motion
now.
now. Sorry.
Making it now. It's okay. Motion is to continue public hearing of 91 Sheffield for application for planned development district designation and application for special exception to our next regularly scheduled meeting of April 20th. Is there a second? Thank you. Second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, passes very 5-0-0. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No,
No, it was not there. I turned mine off. I turned it off.
That was the real first.
That's all we need is AI talking.
Yeah, I know.
30G.
30G, I know. So moving on to item number 7, which is the 2026 outdoor seating rules. Chris?
So I failed to send this to you earlier. We've got a lot going on. So we did send out our annual outdoor seating renewals, and we used to have everyone write a letter saying they were gonna do the same thing and fill out a form. Now we ask them if there's a change. So at this point, Sarah sent them out a few months ago. We haven't heard anything back. So I'd like to make a motion to approve.
So I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a number to number quantity? Or it doesn't matter?
We just say all.
A
Oh,
lot.
okay.
You asked if there was any changes.
So we used to send a letter every
No news
year,
is good news.
yeah, unless they're not telling you something. Okay. So no news is good news.
So I'll make a motion to approve the 2026 outdoor seating renewals as shown on this document for 2026. There's second by Laura. Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstains, passes 5-0. Thank you, Chris. And now committee representative and staff reports.
So just some reminders, and I think I mentioned this last week. Wednesday, April 15th, we're having a special meeting on Ferry Landing. That's the Between the Bridges development. It's to all the boards and commissions just to do an overview. The other thing that I think you're going to find very valuable that I think everyone needs to attend is on Monday, May 11th. The Deep is coming to talk about coastal site plan, to talk about coastal access, to talk about, you know, what they regulate. I've asked them not to dig into too much of the timelines and what trips it. So I'm hoping they're going to give you tools, you know, to better understand the Coastal Management Act and, you know, think of your questions, ask questions, and go from there. What else do we have? We're still busy.
What time is the May 11th meeting?
6 o'clock.
That is,
That's on
that's me.
The other thing too, you can go online on our website, you know, the land use department, we have an education page. There are some older seminars on gateway and coastal site plan. The coastal site plan law did change, so there's a few things on there as far as what trips things that are out of date, but it's always good just to get a little refresher, or if it's something new to you. We're gonna see a lot more, and we don't often get, you know, too many applications with coastal access, but I suspect we will. Now that we're having more requirements, your next meeting, on the 20th, from 6 to 6:45, would be the presentation from Ferry Landing on a proposed text amendment. We put it in the beginning because Mark is recusing himself, so our vice chair will be taking the realm here, Derek, and we'll have the first night of the Max's Place public hearing and 91 Sheffield, obviously continued, and whatever else comes up. But we're still gonna be busy. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, and Mark and I talked a little bit, is we talked about the regulation fixes and having a special meeting on the 27th. I think I can get you something this week. Would you want to potentially have a special meeting on the 13th instead of the 27th
just for fixes.
for fixes?
I can't make it on the 27th, so I'd prefer the 13th.
That works.
13th.
That'll work for me.
April 1st.
April 13th. Yeah.
Okay.
And that
You can attend.
That'll be better.
shouldn't be a real.
Oh, it's a Monday, yeah.
I think, yeah, so I'll get you the text in advance. They're, for the most part, all things we discussed. Like, for example, dark sky compliance. ARB for dark sky compliance, they want to apply to be a dark sky compliant town. So the thought would be if we can just kind of put a little Band-Aid on what we have to make it clear that we follow the dark sky practice now. And then once we start, and it would be in the fall, we'll get a little bit better handle on lighting regulations, and I can get somebody in to kind of look at what we have. So the thought would be, that's what I'm saying, housekeeping. Some of it's a little bit of a Band-Aid for things that we find. And just get some of these things on the books. There's a rooster regulation, there's, that I know Casey's heard about 100 times, some deep stuff. So I think we can just kind of, I'll send it out, go through it. If you have questions before, you can reach out. Get comments together. You can even get me comments in advance, and we'll try on Monday to, if you can do it.
On Monday, we go through it, whatever we would approve. And is there a 30 or 35 day?
So there's a 35-day timeline to schedule a public hearing. So if we were to go through on the 13th and come to an agreement with as much of the regulation as we can, 35 days, which puts us pretty much almost into June, we could have a public hearing. The nice thing about the zoning commission having a public hearing, unlike the deadlines you see tonight, is for us to write regulations, we can continue it on and on and on, but I think right now it's just trying to get these things we've been working on or talking about for over a year in some cases, depending on what it is on the books.
So 13th, next Monday, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, it'll be somewhere in the building. If I can't get this room, we could meet in the cafeteria. We'll find somewhere here. That's it, unless there's something for me. I know everybody wants to go watch UConn. So a lot of UConn garb on today, even in the audience.
Make a motion to adjourn. Second it, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, and absence. Thank you very much, everyone.